Whoa, 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 pal, put the brakes on. Here's another look at our afterburners from RC Castle. We're gonna put on the brakes, crease and throttle. I truly believe the best way to test out this MiG-29 add-on stuff is going to be in my own driveway. So let's get to checking. There's the brake button.
Hit the brakes, so fly right by.
Test time. So we are out here on a beautiful Sunday snowy morning. It's overcast, obviously, around 10:30. It's a good time, even though it's daylight out, to let you guys see the afterburner and the effects of the Asan nose gyro, as well as the braking system on this thing. So what I want you guys to notice is I'm going to hold my transmitter up so you can see it. Once we're set in a line and we punch the throttle, unless we override it, the Asan nose gyro will hold this thing on a rope. We're going to head up here. I want you to see the throttle input, and then take notice to the afterburners and how nice and bright they are in the daytime outside without any funnel tape. So here we go.
Hit the brakes, so fly right by.
So this thing's pointed at us nice and straight coming down the driveway. We're not going to give it any rudder input. And then you're going to see we'll chop the throttle as it's coming down. Now this is a pretty good downslope coming down my driveway. So it's going to build up a good bit of speed and really put these brakes to the test. This best simulates you guys landing on a paved runway. So here we go.
Hit the brakes, so fly right by.
Look at that. That is cool the way that thing stops. Turn her around. Let's give it one more run going away here.
Hit the brakes, so fly right by.
Look at that. And the nose gyro is going to help to keep that thing nice and straight in the interim also. We'll spin it around. See if we can get it. All right, big punch.
Hit the brakes, so fly right by.
That is awesome. Welcome everybody back to Just Plain Crazy. I'm Brendan. Thanks for joining me again for another episode down in the lair. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to put the brakes on, and we're going to do it to the Freewing MiG-29 that I picked up from Motion RC. So again, more hop-ups to the MiG. This stuff comes from us right from RC Castle. You can check them out over at www.rc-castle.com. What do I have? It is right here. We have a set of electronic brakes. We have a set of afterburners. And then we have a nose gyro to throw into this thing. So let's dig into the brake, wheel and brake assemblies and show you what we got. You gotta love MiG upgrades. You just gotta love it. So as we open this, I guess, do you need brakes on your landing gear? I don't know. This plane, first off, lands just fine the way it is. It really does. You can slow it down to a nice gentle crawl and land it. But if you're on a paved runway, the rollouts can be a little long. If you're on a really nice, pristine grass, maybe they're a little long. If you just like gadgets and gizmos, hey, that's what it's for. So what do we got here in the pack? It looks like we got ourselves a JST power connector. We got ourselves a controller board that we are going to hook up to a port on our receiver, and it looks like that's where power is going to come in, and then our 2 pins for our controllers are going to come out the other side. In the package, we have a set of instructions for our top design landing gear, and we'll see how those go and what the opinion is as we go through it. And it's telling you how to hook that stuff up, so that's not bad. All right, let's check these things out. First off, these are JP assemblies. They're marked JP on there, 75 millimeters. Now, I know RC Castle has them in all kinds of different sizes, so if you're looking for something bigger or smaller, you can go ahead and check them out. Maybe they have an application for you. But one of the things that I could tell you I already love about this, they're very robust. They're really, really well made. I could tell you already. They got ball bearing pockets in there. You can see there's the controller wire that we're going to have to fish up through the fuselage. And then they have 4 grub screws on the outside to hold this. But this is a nice hydraulic assembly. It's not plastic, it's metal, very durable, but it has a great cushiony feel to it. If I had to say the downfall, and maybe I'll paint these, is these are silver and the ones that are on there are green. So maybe I'll just go ahead and olive drab the inside of here to dress it up. Or maybe I won't even care because you won't even notice it. I don't know. Somebody at the field will go, you know, those aren't the same color. So, you know, that'll happen. But anyway, they're super cool and nice. Let's get into weighing these just out of curiosity. I always like weighing my upgrades just to see what the stuff weighs, only because I think it matters to EDFs. I mean, they don't handle a ton of extra weight well, and we're going to add a bunch of stuff to this between all this stuff. So I want to see what the true difference is in some of this gear. But here's one. Let's go over to grams. So there's 177 grams, so we should be about 150, so I'm saying, or 350, yeah, 353. And then we're going to throw in the controller, and let's throw in that thing. So we are 368 grams. When it comes down to it, is almost 13 ounces of weight. Now we're going to obviously that's not going to be a straight add, but that is going to be subtracted out with whatever gear is on there. So I'll be curious to see what the big difference is. But there you go. So some really robust, cool looking landing gear. I can't wait to get this stuff installed. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to weigh the gear that we took off of here. And I think this is going to be astounding. So the question becomes, is the weight gain going to be worth it for you guys? You're the ones that are going to have to make that decision. So we are going to go over to grams. And there's 93 grams, 186 grams. So we were 360 grams total of an increase, almost 13 ounces. And we are going to take off, let's call it 6.5. So we increased the weight in our MiG by doing that upgrade on the braking gear. We increased that, let's call it 6.5 ounces. That's what we wound up putting in this thing as far as weight. And then we had another like 3 ounces with the afterburners. So we have another 9 ounces of weight in here. Now, I don't know what, again, the thrust vectoring weighs that goes into this thing. I think the plane will fly just fine the way it is. And since I'm not doing the thrust vectoring, and I can always remove missiles if need be, if I think it's sluggish, but I like flying with them. I'm not worried about flight time. I love the way it looks. But the next thing on the list here is our afterburner assemblies. Now, again, from RC Castle, this is their newer version. So this is, I've done videos before on these things. You can root through my playlist if you want to check those things out, but these are going to be a little different. So these still have the metal cage that goes around the outside, very light. There's not much weight here at all. These are like an aluminum, and then they use grub screws to attach. But the other ones had an LED assembly right on the back. I like that there's holes here again to allow some airflow, but this bulb assembly has a nice lens to it. It's pretty neat looking. And then I always use some RTV underneath the side of here, silicone, to seal it onto the motor just so it can't vibrate loose. But we have the controller. Thing comes with the controller that you're going to go ahead and plug in, and then power, again, obviously there. So that's going to get wide into, the controller is going to get wide into my throttle. And we have one for the other side because it is dual. And then they give you all of the extra little adapters in here, which I always think about this stuff as awesome. And these will plug right into one of your battery balance leads. I love how they give you all these adapters. Super, super cool. I love it. Y harness and everything is right there. So let's go ahead and hop over to weight, and let's see what these bad boys are going to come in at. And these are going to be a straight addition of weight. Can't get away from that. And we'll just pick the 6S connector and throw it on there. So 111 grams, which is going to come in at just sub 4 ounces. So we're going to add 4 ounces of what we're going to consider tail weight to this. We may have to do some sliding around of the battery, but the cool thing about the MiG is the MiG has, it's like my little Blinky mod there. The MiG has the upper battery bay that we can use if we need to and get away from this thing. But lots of room in there to move batteries around, so I'm not worried about it. We do have quite a bit of wiring we're going to have to undo as we get in. And the last thing is this. So when I flew this off of pavement, it was a little bit more squirrely than it is on grass. Again, it's manageable. It's not bad. But since I'm adding all kinds of cool gadgets in here, why not just go the extra 9? And we're going to put in an Asan nose gyro. So the coolest thing about the gyro, I did a test on this stuff before. These things are phenomenal. And for like $5, if you're one of those guys, oh, you don't need a gyro, the whole 9 yards. I get it. That's fine. Not a problem. But what this does is helps people that aren't great with takeoffs, that can't learn really well, or they got a squirrely plane or a narrow runway. There's a lot of reasons that these have validity. There's also some advanced level gyros that have enough ports that you can actually put the nose gear straight into the gyro and you can get the same stability on that, would be that yaw axis. So that's okay if that's what you want to do. But I have these now in quite a few planes and they help smooth this stuff out. And it only works for steering. That's all you're doing. So as soon as that nose gear goes up, it actually shuts the steering off, which is also a benefit. And this thing will help you in taking off and landing. So other than that, it has no effect on the plane. They're fairly cheap. They work really, really well. And again, you could check out that video I just linked up there above before and see the testing and stuff that I did on this. But a lot of people have been helped by this little device. So if you're interested in something to help keep your plane on the straight and narrow, check this out. But we're going to get into a lot of the modifications here on the MiG, and we'll hit some of the cool build points, but let's get going. Just a quick wrap up what we did here. We went ahead and removed, there's 4 screws that, I guess we'll start with the cover. There's 2 screws that you're going to take out there and there. Then there is a plywood plate that goes over the ESC with 2 screws. Take those out. The 4 that hold in the fan motor assembly. And then we go ahead and we slip over the afterburner, the light burner assembly, and I use some high temp silicone on there. The metal actually, you know, can be used as a heat sink a little bit, but like I said, I like how the airflow is going to come out of the motor, has plenty of room around it to escape, plus holes in the back. So there's really no restriction here, which sometimes afterburners can do and warm those motors up. But the high temp silicone will dry up here in a little bit and that won't be an issue. And then we fished the control wire from there all the way up front. And if you don't have one of these, you can make one out of like what they call piano wire, I guess. But I got this one with the Freewing A10 that I had picked up from Motion. This thing is amazing. This thing's helped me out a gazillion times, but I love this. I've used it a lot. Anyway, let's go ahead and hop back into the time lapse and get this one finished up. One gear down. All right, so you can see what we did here. This is held, wiring is held in place with just a couple little pieces of aluminum tape right there. All right, makes a nice clean installation. And then the wire is ran behind the bracket. And then we just made a slit in the foam right through there and ran that thing right down that slit in the channel and tucked it down in, and you could barely even see that anything is there. So off to the next side, but you know, just for what it's worth, I think this thing is going to be considerably lighter right out of the gate, considerably. But anyway, I'm not doing thrust vectoring, so I think that, you know, the plane can handle the weight just fine. And also notice that there is a size difference in the wheels by about 10 millimeters total. So that means you're going to have a 5mm lower back end when you go to take off. And it doesn't really look bad, to be honest, because these are so much bigger than the front ones. When you check out in comparison, let me just I'll grab that back one. Here's the other side we didn't do yet. But when you look at this in comparison, the backs are still going to be bigger than the front. Now, how does that change the angle of attack when it takes off? I think this plane did pretty well taken off as it is. And all that's going to do is sink the back end a little further to get the nose up. So it may even help make the takeoffs a little bit shorter. But again, it doesn't have a problem with that either. But I think it's a nice little upgrade. That side was pretty easy. Let's get to side number 2. So here's our rat's nest of wiring. This is what the end result is going to look like for battery placement all the way back, and front battery position all the way back. A good bit of CG change here, and I couldn't get the battery up in this upper tray far enough front in order to still get that CG. So this is where we wound up. Couple things here that we also did. So number one, we removed the Spektrum receiver and I went with a Jeti Rex 7. Antenna is embedded into the foam here and comes back under the underside. Now this is a 7-channel with a couple pieces of telemetry going off this extension port right here, but I also ran into a channel expander so I can open this one up into more channels just because I wanted to use the receiver I had. No sense in buying another one. But we're using a Jeti MUI sensor, so this is the most accurate way to know flight times. This is going to be based off of pack milliamp usage. I guess in an ideal world, it'd be nice to have it on both, but that's way too much mess and really not needed. So they should be about the same amount of current draw. And this will tell me exactly flight time, what I'm going to get and when I need to land, not based on time or voltage. So there's the MUI sensor, and then underneath we've actually embedded a temp sensor, which I do on a lot of my models. This is the first time I'm using a Jeti temp sensor down in there. So that thing's embedded underneath to keep an eye on battery temperatures. Not like I expect a problem, but just in case. And then you can see the module off of the expander there for temperature. Everything else is wind up hooked into the balance lead for the brakes and for the afterburner assemblies. And this is the way this is going to work on a momentary. So if we go back and look, I'll show you what that looks like. Now you can actually go in and change the percentages of the brakes on here. Right now we're set at about 80% of duty cycle, if you will, or activation. And I put it on this momentary switch as I just showed you. So you can see now the plane doesn't want to roll, and I can actually hold it there and start to... All right, so at full throttle, it can overcome it a little bit. And the other cool thing that we also did is we put in a Asan nose gyro, and that thing is setting right there, so that way we have accurate straight takeoffs, we have nice braking, and then of course we have the center burners in the back. And I did not do the foil treatment back in there because I want you guys to actually be able to see them outside without it. A lot of people want to know how's it look in the daytime, not down here in the layer. So we're going to go outside and we're going to play around with that. So let's get to it. There you go, guys. Again, just plain crazy out here hanging in the snow to shoot videos for you guys, just to show you and bring you cool products that are out there. All three of these items come from RC Castle. You can check them out at www.rc-castle.com. Again, the Asan nose gyro, the really cool version 2 center burners on this thing, as well as those top design braking system and struts for this. On the downside, the only thing I have on the downside is it mismatches the colors again from the front to the rear, as I've shown you, but they also make a nose gear They are labeled JP, so I'm not sure of the affiliation there. But anyway, I'm sure JP also has a front matching nose gear for this thing. But anyway, if you're interested, hop over to RC Castle and check these things out. Again, if you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down button twice for me. Like, share, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Leave comments down below if you think something like this is cool and would help you, especially the nose gyros. They've been a big help to a lot of people that are out there struggling just to keep stuff on a runway. Maybe it's a narrow runway or whatever. But happy flights to you guys. Peace out.